So the first cocktail I want to make for you tonight is the orange. What did I call it? The the orange gin cocktail. So I was thinking, okay, oranges, that's going to be good. Oranges are coming into season. Oh, and by the way, the difference between this Chilean navel orange that was in transit for God knows how long and all that stuff, and the one off my tree, not only is it just maybe better for the planet, it's also the rind. When I do this, I can smell something, but when I do it at my house, it's like vanilla, nutmeg, all these wonderful flavor smells that I never expected to smell in an orange until I owned an orange tree. So that there's a lot more that's available when you're using really fresh stuff. And the juice, actually, I was really bored by the juice when I juiced this. But there's another good point that sometimes when you're using your brand new orange off the tree, it can be a little sour at the beginning, so it doesn't really work for everything. But as it gets, this one's going to be sweet, but kind of boring. So your own stuff will be better when it's coming straight from your garden. So the orange gin cocktail, I was thinking, oranges, they're fine, but they're just oranges. So what can we do? I decided that I wanted to use gin to kind of ramp up the flavor complexity. So what I want to show you tonight, let's see. Look at all my stuff laying all over here. Pardon me while I clean up a bit. We're going to use the shaker. Oh, this is this is a cocktail spoon. I don't really use these much, but you can stir with it, obviously, but they use these to float different alcohols on top of things. That's too fancy for me. I don't have time for that. But that's a nice thing to have. One of these days I'm going to get that into my repertoire as well. So let's see. This is the gin. See, I have two different sizes: vodka, gin. And so the first thing that I did to lead up to this is I infused my gin with the zest of the orange, navel orange. Like I said, there's this thing called a zester with the little holes, and you get all these little threads, and that's fine. But this is when you're using big pieces, you're going to be able to keep track of those pieces easier. And instead of standing here and kind of doing this and worrying about my fingers, what I've learned to do is to put it on the ground or on the cutting board and just do this, and it comes off really well. I didn't even know what zest was when I started cooking. Zest is the orange part, and then this is the pith, the white part. If there's a little bit of pith on there, that's not a big deal. But the problem with pith is it's really, really bitter. I was just listening to a podcast, a cooking podcast, and then somebody asked, well, what can I use that for? And they said, nothing. That's bitter, it's going to be nasty. Sometimes it adds a little complexity, right? Bitter isn't always a bad thing. So a little bit's not going to be a big problem. But like if you're doing this and you're getting big chunks of it, then you probably want to dial it back a little bit or something like that. So that's how I like to zest when I'm talking cocktails and citrus. It's just a lot easier, and you don't have to worry about cutting yourself on that thing, because I get really worried about that. In the middle, you can't cut yourself when you're making the cocktails. You got dinner to serve, right? You're going to be bleeding. So then basically I just stuck it in a jar, and I stuck the booze in there with it. The gin, I like to do the middle of the ground cocktail or drinks. If I went and found a really fancy gin that was really interesting and all these complex flavors, I wouldn't want to use it in a cocktail where the orange is going to be the star. So this is going to be the star. The orange is going to be the star. The gin is going to be the background complexity. So I did that. I infused that. The next thing I did was I made and I did that the day before, maybe the morning of. And the next thing I did was I made a simple syrup using rosemary. So simple syrups are a great way to get things from your garden into your cocktails. Rosemary is so easy. It's just there. It's tough as nails. And so, and it's seasonal now, or soon to be very seasonal. Jack has this one called, it's a variety of rosemary called barbecue. It's my favorite because, oh, there we go, okay. There's a proximity alert over there. I don't know. I'm back. I'm gone again. Sorry, folks. Technical difficulties? No, we're okay. So barbecue is a great variety. I love it because it makes these big, tall branches that you could use as skewers, like our caterer did tonight, who has the skewers of the mozzarella and the tomatoes. And so I got this plant that's just got skewers galore if I wanted, and of course it's a really flavorful rosemary as well. I have another rosemary that's nowhere near straight and narrow. It's very all over the place, but it has more blossoms. Like for 6 months, it's doing little pink blossoms instead of the regular blue blossoms of rosemaries. So, and I use those pink blossoms as garnishes. So there's a variety of different kinds of rosemary, and barbecue is one of my favorite. So what I do is I take water. The recipe that I used is 2 parts water to 1 part sugar. The traditional is a pretty big batch of the rosemary simple syrup, so I did it on the stovetop. It was a little easier that way. You just heat it up. You got it. You put it in the fridge or the freezer to get it cool down, depending how late you remember to do it, and then you use that in your cocktails. You can leave it in the refrigerator for, I'd say, a few days. I'm not a food expert guy. I basically put it in there. I trust it for maybe a week unless I see something growing in there with it. And it's not like it's expensive or anything, so it's okay to toss it out. It's better to be safe than sorry. But it is, sugar's to some degree a preservative, but you just never know what was on that rosemary if you didn't wash it real well. So 2 to 3 days in the refrigerator would probably be fine. Or use it all up. So I made a simple syrup, and then of course I put it in a pretty bottle with a little piece of rosemary there to make it look nice. So rosemary simple syrup, gin or orange infused gin. We're gonna get our shaker out here, and my trusty thing. My recipe is 2 ounces of my gin. I'll probably make a mess here. Don't worry, it's gonna be fine. There we go. Nothing strict around here. See how pretty that is? That's not bad. I got lights. I can see it myself. I hope you can see it too. And then we're going to use I think it was a half an ounce of this. So that's an ounce. So I'll just fill it up halfway. Ish. Stick it in there. And then I need ice. Remember, okay, I'm not going to use my hands, but that's alright. I swear I washed my hands before I did this today. And then we just shake. Don't just shake it, put it down, and then go. No, you got to shake a little bit. Not too long. And what you're doing is you're breaking up the ice, and a little bit of that ice is melting, so all those recipes, it's 2 ounces of booze and a half ounce of something else, and you're like, there's not enough in one of those for a cocktail. It's true, there is, because there's about maybe another ounce and a half of water that's going to come out of here after the ice melts. Okay, and I think I can use this strainer, because there's not really that much in here. There we go. Okay, so that's pretty, but it's not quite pretty enough yet. Oh, this looks fine. Let's use this little piece. Alright, so there we go. That's our first cocktail tonight, the orange gin cocktail. So there's that one. Thank you. Jack, are we going to give this away? What? So, is anybody having a birthday today?
Yeah.
Really? Would you like to have an orange gin cocktail? Happy birthday! I'd come give this to you, but I've got a table to get over. There you go.